Most men sincerely believe that if they get money, women will follow. And this is a belief that is being jammed down your throat every single time you log onto the internet. And you know what? It's partly true, but it's also partly false. Most of my clients are actually wealthy, successful men. And the truth is, having money can and should help you with women, but it also creates as many problems as it solves. So consider this video my rant to you, my rich, successful friends, about how to use your success, use your money to actually help you, to actually get the results you were promised instead of shooting yourself in the foot. So let's talk about what's good about being rich. The number one area where having money will help you with women is access. It will put you in the proximity of more eligible girls if you're smart about it. It can get you entry to clubs. It can get you entry to higher level social circles. It can get you other friends with money who have other more attractive girls in their social circles. It can lead you to being on vacations where hot girls are there. It can lead you to being at nicer restaurants where you bump into hotter people. It can lead you to staying at nicer hotels where there are more attractive women. The next benefit of having money is it simply makes your life more fun and more palatable to women. If you are dating women, if you have a long-term girlfriend and she's a part of your life and you happen to have money, you're gonna eat at nicer restaurants, stay at nicer places, do more fun things, and that's gonna make it so much easier to keep a woman around. In fact, money is actually probably 10 times more useful for keeping a woman around than it is for actually getting a woman in the first place. The next reason that money is hugely beneficial is logistics. If you have money, you can have a nice apartment right in the heart of downtown, right next to the hottest club in the city, as opposed to having a shitty place out in the suburbs that you have to take the girl 45 minutes to get to you. And also, say the girl lives far away from you, if you have money, you can send an Uber for her and it's not gonna break the bank. And also, let's say you meet a girl in one city when you're traveling there and you want her to visit you, you can spring for a flight and it's not a big deal for you. It also doesn't seem like it's supplicating if you are rich. And that's very, very important because when it comes to spending money, there's two aspects. There's one, can you literally afford it? There's two, does it look try hard and needy and like you have an agenda? The next benefit of success and wealth is you can offer the girl a better date. There are girls that are kind of on the fence about seeing you when they meet you. And if you invite them to a random bar, they may say no. If you invited them to go backstage at the Oscars with you, they would say yes. Or if you invite them to go to the nicest restaurant in town, they'd probably be like, cool, yes. If you can afford that on a regular basis, if that's in your wheelhouse and part of your normal lifestyle, it will be easier to attract girls to that. If you invite a girl to Soho House as opposed to Moe's Tavern, more girls are gonna show up. It's simply true. And by the way, this does not mean that they're just using you for the money. Most likely, they were on the fence anyway. That's why they met you in the first place. That's why they gave you the number. That was just the little bump that got them off the fence. If you were a total loser and they hated you, you wouldn't have even been in the game. That's just the little 5% that put you over the top. And finally, money just gives you more resources to improve yourself in other ways. If you have more money, you can wear better clothes and make a better first impression. If you have more money, you can get a personal trainer. If you have more money, you can get coaching for your game and get better faster. It's simply the case that money helps to facilitate and make everything in your life more efficient. So far, I've made money sound pretty great, and you probably are thinking, Todd, it does sound like the solution to everything. What the fuck are you talking about saying it's a problem? But the fact of the matter is, I have so many clients, like a ridiculous number of clients who are failing, not in spite of having money, but because of having money. I even sometimes get guys who were successful when they were broke, and then they started failing once they got rich. Okay, so this is a real thing, and here's why. The number one reason why wealthy or successful men do worse with women is down to what's called the provider frame. You see, there are two reasons why a woman will sleep with a man from an evolutionary perspective. One is the lover frame, because she wants to get the best genetics from him. The other is the provider frame, because she thinks he will take good care of potential future offspring. When you have a lot of money, and specifically when you lead with money, when she identifies you or you identify yourself primarily or principally as a rich guy who happens to be X instead of an amazing guy who happens to be rich, when you identify with money first, she thinks of you through that provider frame because that's her first impression. That's the filter through which she sees everything else. And women treat provider men and lover category men differently when it comes to sleep with them. By definition, the value in a provider type man has to do with him sticking around. So the woman doesn't want anything to do with him if he's not gonna stick around. She does not want to have a one-night stand with a provider type man. And for this reason, oftentimes she will will make him jump through hoops to prove he will stick around. She'll make him go on date after date after date, withhold sex, and set up a dynamic where it's resources in exchange for sex, because literally from a provider, that is the calculus in her mind. This phenomenon has always existed, but in recent times, with more and more social media, more and more just exposure and everybody being able to know everything about everybody, this is actually happening to a greater extent than ever in the past. The next reason I often see rich and successful men fail with women comes down to entitlement and complacency. They get this attitude of, well, I'm rich, so I deserve it. I'm rich, so she should see the value in me. And they forget that they actually have to deliver the value in the presence of the woman. Women do not care about the number in your bank account. They don't, okay? Not even they don't care a lot about it, they don't care. What they do potentially care about, though, is how you and your lifestyle and your assets can affect their life and can make their life better. So for example, if you have a lot of money in your bank account, but you live fucking stingy and don't spend any of it, and they don't get to enjoy being with you, and it doesn't make their life better, they could give a shit less. It doesn't matter to them. If you are super fun and providing an amazing experience, and you aren't spending money to do it, but they're being swept along in a crazy adventure, and it's very pleasurable to them, very fun for them, very relaxing for them, they're on board with that. So if you think that because you are successful in business, somehow the girl is supposed to just intuit that and just be like, well, he's successful, so he deserves my pussy, he deserves to have sex with me because he has a big bank account, doesn't work like that. However, if because you are successful, you're able to invite her into an incredible lifestyle and she enjoys every minute of it and likes your personality, then she is going to get wet for you. And when it comes to things like cold approach, walking up to a girl who doesn't know anything about you, literally, she just doesn't know. She doesn't know you have money. So you have to be charismatic enough, interesting enough to keep her there long enough for her to even find out. Oh, and by the way, walking up and saying, I have money, doesn't work either, because that's needy and try hard, which are two of the most unattractive things possible. The next way that rich, successful men absolutely kill their dating lives is the slow death. The death of inaction, or the belief that because they've made money, they no longer have to work on themselves in other ways. The idea that like somehow the money will reach out and bring women to them. No, you still have to dress well, you still have to go out, you still have to go to the gym, you still have to become an interesting person, you still have to grow as a human being. If you get inactive and complacent thinking money's gonna solve everything for you, it will absolutely do the opposite. And this complacency leads to a life where men could literally go months without meeting women, or maybe they only meet the few unattractive women who happen to swipe right on them on a dating app. Fundamentally, your success with women will come down to game. It will come down to who you are and how you convey yourself. And the further you get away from that, the further you're getting away from success. If money makes you complacent, if money makes you avoid that harsh truth, it's going to hurt you. The final two major issues I see rich, successful guys having when it comes to women are actually flip sides of the same coin, and they have to do with how these men view women in terms of whether women are gold diggers or whether women are genuine, and how it affects their internal psychology. See, a lot of guys, once they get a little bit wealthy, they get it in their head that every girl is trying to gold dig them. And to some extent, it's true. There are gold diggers in the world, but it really depends how you're presenting yourself. As I mentioned before, if you present yourself first and foremost as a rich guy who happens to have a personality, you are going to attract gold diggers. If you present yourself as an amazing guy who happens to have money, you're not gonna have nearly as much of a problem with it. But what happens is, once a guy has one gold digger experience or a few gold digger experiences, they get it in their mind that every girl's only after money. And then they successfully find 50 of the last 5 gold diggers they've run across. Meaning 45 of the girls were just fine, 5 were gold diggers, and they let those 5 and their attitude about it ruin the other 45. In fact, oftentimes rich and successful guys become so paranoid about ever spending money on women, they spend less money on the women than poor guys will. And as far as the women are concerned, they might as well be poor in terms of the experience. And so ironically, having more money makes the women react to them as though they had less money. Or oftentimes they just blow things out of proportion and get overly logical. Like for example, the girl says, hey, do you want to buy me a drink? And he'll give her a lecture on why he shouldn't have to buy her a drink just because he has money, and take all the joy out of the evening. I actually am going to talk about when to buy a girl a drink and when not to in the next section, so we will get there. Then ironically, some guys go the completely opposite direction and trap themselves by using sites like seeking arrangement or actually paying for sex in other ways. And this sets up a dynamic in their head where they are equating money with sex. They're thinking that the only reason women like them is for their money. And they're also getting used to having easy sex with very attractive women, but having no relationship and no future with it. This sort of easy sex with hot women can become addictive, and it makes it very hard for the man to then relate to normal women who he might find in a regular dating life. In fact, I've personally met many men who got addicted to that sort of easy sex with hot women, and they're now incapable of starting a normal relationship. Now, all these issues that can come with having money can start to seem complicated, awful, maybe even insurmountable, but fundamentally, they all really boil down to the same issue, which is this. All of these issues at their core come down to leading with money rather than leading with yourself, leading with a thing called game. And what is game? Game is understanding what is an attractive man and becoming that attractive man. Understanding female psychology and giving her an incredible experience in your presence. Whether you're rich or poor, you need to learn to do that. If you learn to do that, being rich is icing on the cake. But if you lead with money so she finds out you have money before she knows you're attractive, she may never actually find out who you are. She may never actually know that you are, in fact, an attractive man. So, if you are a rich guy and you are not getting the results you should with women, what are the steps to take? Well, there are a few, but the first one is this. Stop thinking of yourself as a rich guy. Think of yourself as an awesome guy who happens to have some money and success. Lead with you. Lead with your personality, lead with your charisma, lead with your life stories, lead with the experience that you can give to women. And above all, stop thinking that you're entitled to have women somehow magically enter your life just because you have money. You have to go out and meet them. You have to put yourself in circumstances to be around them, and you have to learn the skills to actually be good in those circumstances. Fundamentally, that is unavoidable. And beyond just leading with your best self, know that game is a social skill and something that can be improved. So your best self a month from now can be dramatically better than your best self now. I had a program this weekend here in Miami, and I had guys who literally could not walk up and start talking to girls. Every single one of them was on an instant date or taking a girl home by the end of the weekend. This is something that can be learned. Game is one of the few things in life that you cannot buy outright. You have to earn it. You can buy coaching to help you, but fundamentally, you have to earn it for yourself. Next key point, delay the reveal that you have money, and especially delay spending money on the girl. And for this, I'll give you kind of an example by way of metaphor, which is a lot of times girls will ask you to buy a drink, and there's a time when it's right and a time when it's wrong. If you walk right up to a girl and her first words out of her mouth are, buy me a drink, you should not buy that drink for her right then and there. You should say, oh, maybe later once I get to know you, and then get to know her and then decide. But if you've been talking to a girl for 20 minutes and she likes you, in that case, not only should you buy her a drink if she asks, but you should probably be offering as a logistical move and as a way to get to know her better and spend more time with her. The key distinction is this. She liked you before you spent money on her, or she liked you before she knew you had money. That's the key thing. It's fine for her to know you have money as long as she liked you first, as long as that's not the first thing she liked about you. If she was already attracted, the money is the cherry on top. If it's money first, it puts a cloud over everything else, and she's viewing you through that filter. And finally, use your money with intelligence. This is what I would do if I was living in one city as a rich guy. I would get a nice apartment downtown with great logistics. I would go to the best venues, and I would network with other successful guys, especially ones that have women in their life. I would also network with attractive women that I'm not interested in dating and have them be my friends so that I have those kind of people around me all the time. I would go to the gym and get a personal trainer and look my absolute best. I would hire someone to help me with my fashion and make me look incredible. And that doesn't even necessarily mean you have to look expensive, although you certainly can. And finally, I would go out and work on my game, and yes, that includes getting coaching. In the same way that having money helps you get better in the gym faster because you get a trainer, helps you get your style better because you can get a stylist, it helps you get your game better faster. Why bang your head against the wall and do it all yourself when someone can lead the way? That is one of the biggest benefits of money, is that it allows you to get expert training. So take advantage of that as well. It's a shortcut to getting better faster, and the most valuable asset you have is your time, so why wouldn't you? And one final point, once you're taking these steps and becoming the absolute best version of yourself and attracting tons of women into your life, don't just settle for the first one that will have you. Be selective, put some value on yourself, and not the value that comes from your bank account, the value that comes from you. You deserve it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and tell us how you got rich in the comments below. See you on the next video.